Hey everyone, welcome back to the Fit IT Guy. Today I'm going to be installing the Tilliard soft close frunk. I really like this product because I'm just tired of the fingerprints on the car. You know, the whole car is clean and then you just have these bunch of fingerprints here every time you want to close the trunk. And you go to push it, you push it down, you're supposed to push it down with two hands. So you're leaving two sets of fingerprints every time you do it. So this is gonna be nice. It's basically, once you let the frunk down, it's gonna close itself. So let's go ahead and get started with the installation. All right, first thing I'm gonna do here is remove these 4 10mm bolts. 2 in the bottom of the frunk, 2 on the top here, and then we're gonna pop off the frunk light here. And there's gonna be a couple more bolts. So I have a 10mm socket on my impact, just to make it quicker. So all it takes. And inside here, you can kind of just wedge your fingers. Pull this off, there's some clips. You can use a pry tool if you want, but it'll come off with your fingers. And then there's this little clip here for the frunk light. You can just go ahead and pull that out. This is in there pretty tight actually, so I'm going to use a needle nose plier. Just pull it out nice and gently. There we go. And next we can pop off this piece of the frunk here, the top piece. Kind of just pops out by hand. Like so. Again, gently, you can do it evenly all across, and then it'll all come out at once. You just want to make sure you unsecure all the clips before trying to pull on it. All right, a couple more clips there. Should be some more clips here too. And there's a little bit more clips on the left side. Okay, and then this just comes right out. Just be careful not to scratch your paint, and focus on this side. And we can take this out. So now we can pull out the full frunk tub here. I'm just gonna lightly pull it along the sides to unrelease the clips on the edges. It's also pushed in under the rubber gasket for the light bar, for the daytime running light. So make sure you're watching out for that as well. All right, you're hearing it unclip. And I'm just going to pull it backwards to clear this rubber gasket. And now I can pull it out straight. And from here, we just have to undo these 2 10mm bolts. And we can pull off this piece here. This is part of a cover for the HEPA air filter. And now you should be able to get this piece right out like that. Perfect. The car has just under 300 miles on it, so this all looks brand new. There's no dust or nothing in there. It's all brand new metal. So next, I'm gonna go to the frunk latch here. There's this black bracket that holds in the latch. There's 2 bolts that holds it in. What we wanna do is take a flathead screwdriver and mark all around the bracket so that we know exactly where it sits. This is very important so that we know that we're aligning it correctly when we put the bracket back, because we're going to be undoing these 2 bolts here. So you want to make sure you get the bracket back in the right spot so that it's all aligned when you are putting it back together and closing the frunk. I'm just going to mark this all around here. Yeah, it's funny, it actually has some level marks on the side of the bracket here so that you can align it, or I guess so that they can align it properly from the factory. Okay, next we're going to unplug this connector here. So you pull out this red tab and then it should just come right out. There we go. Now I'm going to undo these 2 bolts. They look like a 10mm. And make sure not to lose these bolts. They also have a washer on them too. Last thing you want to do is drop them into the frunk here. Okay, and you can see here the mark I left by tracing around the bracket with the screwdriver. Okay, so we want to take this bracket here and we want to remove the spring. So to do this, we're going to push the spring back here let it come loose, and pull it off. There's this little hole that the spring sits in. You just want to bring it back, and that will loosen it up, basically. Okay, next it wants us to take this piece that it's calling the limiter, and we're going to attach it kind of to the area where the spring was. And it should kind of clip in here, like so. And this groove will go where the screw is, this little screw. So have to get it right. Okay. And then this piece here with the little indentation, we're going to push this down so that it locks. So we're going to use a piece of metal. I'll probably use my screwdriver here to push this little indentation down. I'm just going to go ahead and push this down here, and I'm assuming this will lock it into place. That's what it looks like. Yes, indeed. So now this silver piece here is locked in. I guess this limits the travel of the latch to only what is necessary for the soft close frunk. So next we have to grab this piece here, and this attaches to the back of the bracket, and I'll show you how to do that now, and we'll get to this piece after that. Okay, so we're going to take our bracket here. We were looking at it this way originally. We're going to flip it over like this, and we're going to take this bracket, and it kind of just slides on. So this is how the latch would normally look in the bracket. It would normally sit on the car like that. So the piece with the white over the bolt hole goes on that section of the latch, and this one goes on that side there. And then we're going to take this piece. Okay, so we also want to grab our spring for this part as well. So let's go ahead and bring this back in. I'm going to attach this here, just like so. And once it fits in good there, I'm going to flip it over and hold in that bolt hole here. Now I can attach this piece there. I'm going to take our spring, which should sit on this piece here, and clamp onto here. That's where it gets a little tricky. Okay, so I got the spring back in this piece, and I put the other part of the spring that's sticking out there, and now I'm going to twist the spring so that it grabs this hole again, just like so, and that should be it. So now we can place this back here and slowly start to thread in those bolts just to hold it in place for now. I'm just tightening everything by hand because remember, I have to match the bracket to where I made the markings around the bracket so that everything's even from where I took it out. All right, so now I'm just going to take my ratchet once I have it all aligned, and I'm going to tighten it exactly where it should be. So I think right around here is good. Once it's fairly tight on this side, I'm just going to measure the other side to make sure it's in the right place, and it looks perfect there. All right, that's super snug now. Okay, so next I took off the nut and the hex head bolt that were in this hole of the actuator here, and there's a spot right here where this nut goes into. So what we're gonna do is take this and put it here, basically, and thread it in. Okay, so here's everything again. You can see where I'm putting in the motor here for the soft close frunk. It actually fits perfectly right here. That's amazing. So we're just gonna go ahead and tighten that as much as I can. We don't want that coming out. There we go. Okay, so next we have this wiring harness. It has a ground and a positive, so we'll have to connect that to the positive hookup on the battery. Comes with a nut also. And this connector here, which connects to the motor. All right, I'm just gonna try to route these neatly so they're not kind of just stringing along everywhere. This power connector needs to go over here. So I'm just gonna kind of go through the holes on the side of the car. Same with the ground. The ground can go anywhere over here also. So I'm gonna go ahead and route them now. And once these two are plugged in, then I'm gonna plug in the connector. You don't wanna have the connector plugged in while you're plugging in the ground and the positive. So we're actually gonna plug in the ground first, or connect the ground first, then we're gonna connect the positive. All right, so I'm gonna slightly undo this 10mm bolt here so I can get the ground underneath the bolt, and then I'll tighten up the bolt. Just do this. You don't have to loosen it too much. And let's get the ground under here. Again, I'm just gonna try to route it nicely. So let's get these here. Let's get the ground here. Now I can go ahead and tighten that up. Yep, that's not coming loose. So now we have this positive wire. It just needs to reach over there. And I just need to fish this wire up a little bit more to do so. And again, I'm gonna try to route this wire as neatly as possible. I also don't want the wire to get cut anywhere, so we have to be careful with that too. I think if I can get it under here and up, I think that'll be the best case scenario. It'll kind of be away from any sharp metal, because this is more of like a plastic piece. Okay, I got this mostly routed through here. Again, away from metal as much as possible. And let's pull this off here. What we're gonna do is take this nut that they supplied us with, and we're gonna start threading it on here. Seems to be a 10mm nut. Just keep threading it and threading it. And when we get pretty close, we will put this in here. Let it clip on, and we can tighten this. I'm gonna get a plier because my socket is not long enough for that. Tilliard also includes these wrenches in the kit in case you don't have any tools. So I might as well go ahead and use this for now. It's a thin wrench, but it's actually pretty strong and thick. So let's go ahead and do this. Once it gets tightened on there, I'll tighten it with this wrench. All right, and just for safety's sake, I'm gonna use the plier too. Okay, that's on there super, super tight. So now we have the connector from the wires, from the positive and ground we just plugged in. This is going to power the motor. So let's go ahead and get this connector plugged in. Perfect. And there is still one more step. So now I'm just gonna tidy everything up. I'm gonna take these cables coming from the latch, and I'm just gonna route them here, and I'll zip tie them around some of these other cables or hoses just to keep everything out of the way, so that when I put in the bin for the Frunk, nothing's gonna get squished or anything like that. I'm gonna tidy these up too, so they're out of the way and they're not rubbing on anything either. All right guys, I'm just gonna plug in this last connector back here for the latch, and let's go ahead and test this out. Let's see if it closes. Amazing. I want to try it one more time just because. Put in all this work to get it on, right? So let's do it again. Super quiet. It closes it. It's amazing. All right, I'm just going to show you this again to show you how cool it is. All right. There's the latch. freaking amazing. And it's perfectly level, perfectly even. That is awesome. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead now and put our frunk pieces back in, make sure that none of the wires are getting pinched anywhere, and then we can go ahead, close this up, and give it one final close with the soft close frunk. And see how awesome this is, because I really love it. This is something that should have been on the car from the beginning. I wish it was an auto full powered frunk, but this is still good enough. All right, I just got the filter cover in here. I got the frunk plastic in also. Just remember one thing, put the rubber gasket over the front of the frunk here, because that's how it is. That's how it was when we took it out. And then you're gonna also wanna make sure you grab this cable. Sometimes it gets really hidden in there when you're putting in the frunk plastic. So make sure that's through the hole already before you put the plastic all the way in and click in the clips. So we're just gonna plug in this now. Make sure this light still works. It does. And we're just gonna clip this in from bottom to top, go all around. Sometimes you have to just give it a little smack for it to clip in there. All right, and then we just have these 4 bolts to go 2 in here, 2 on the outside. Okay, final piece, and we are all done here, and we can close it one final time and just verify everything's closing correctly. If you don't put in these plastic trim panels properly, things just won't close correctly, so FYI. All right, we're gonna make sure we get a satisfying click, some ASMR action here. Good clicking. There's clips on the top, bottom, and sides here. Just make sure everything clips properly. Car's brand new, you want to keep it brand new, looking brand new. These final clips. And we are all set. We're gonna do it one last time. Now that we have the plastic shroud up here, make sure everything closes properly. And perfect. So that is it, everybody. Make sure you check out Tilliard. I'll have my discount code beginning of the video and the end of the video here. You can save 25% off on their whole website. Make sure to check out all the products on their website. They have some great stuff. Thank you to Tilliard for sending me this product. It's really great. I'm sure you guys are gonna enjoy it. They have it for the original Model 3, original Model Y, the S, the X, the new Model 3, and the new Model Y. So go ahead, check out their website. They have a ton of other great things, and stay tuned for the next video. We're gonna be doing a ton of mods on this new Model Y Juniper.